I should have known something was wrong when Lisa started working late every Thursday. Not once or twice, but every single Thursday for the past 3 months. My wife, who used to complain about staying past 5:30 at her architecture firm, suddenly discovered a passion for overtime that coincided perfectly with her new fitness routine and designer wardrobe upgrades. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start with the moment everything unraveled, sitting in our suburban kitchen on a rainy Friday evening, staring at the text message that would change everything. Office party running late, staying at colleague's place tonight, don't wait up, love you. I read it twice, then set the phone down next to the stack of credit card statements I'd been reviewing. Statements showing charges at hotels I'd never seen, restaurants I'd never been to, and a jewelry store purchase for a necklace that had never made it home to our bedroom. My name is David Chen, and I'm a project manager at a mid-sized construction company in Portland, Maine. Not the most glamorous job, but it pays the bills and keeps our modest 3-bedroom house in the suburbs. Lisa works downtown at Hartwell & Associates, designing office buildings and shopping centers for clients with more money than taste. We've been married 8 years, together for 10, and until 3 months ago, I thought we were happy. Sure, we had our problems. What couple doesn't? But I never imagined my wife was capable of the level of deception I was about to uncover. The rain hammered against our kitchen window as I picked up my phone and scrolled through Lisa's recent messages. She'd become careless lately, leaving her phone unlocked, taking calls in the shower, smiling at texts she quickly deleted. All the classic signs I'd been too trusting or too stupid to recognize. I opened our laptop and logged into our shared email account, something we'd set up years ago for household bills and joint purchases. Lisa had forgotten about it, apparently, because her automatic backup was still syncing her personal emails. 3 months of correspondence with someone named Michael Torres, her colleague at the firm. The early messages were professional. Project updates, meeting schedules, client feedback. Then they shifted to friendly. Lunch invitations, compliments about her presentations, inside jokes about their boss. By last month, they'd crossed every line a married woman shouldn't cross. Can't stop thinking about yesterday, read one message from 2 weeks ago. When can we meet again? Lisa's response made my stomach turn. Thursday works, same place, can't wait. I closed the laptop and walked to our bedroom, where Lisa's jewelry box sat on her dresser. Inside, beneath her grandmother's pearl necklace and the earrings I'd bought her for our anniversary, was a small velvet box I'd never seen before. A diamond bracelet with an inscription, "To my beautiful architect, forever M." The pieces clicked into place like a blueprint coming together. The Thursday meetings, the new clothes, the sudden interest in yoga classes that never seemed to improve her flexibility, the way she'd started showering immediately after coming home from work. I sat on our bed, surrounded by the evidence of my wife's betrayal, and felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger, not yet. Something more dangerous. Calculation. Lisa thought she was clever, but she'd made one crucial mistake. She'd underestimated me. 8 years of marriage had taught her that I was predictable, reliable David who managed construction schedules and never caused drama. What she'd forgotten was that managing complex projects requires strategic thinking, attention to detail, and the ability to coordinate multiple moving parts toward a single objective. I was about to give her a master class in project management. My phone buzzed with another text from Lisa. "Hope you're not lonely tonight. See you tomorrow evening." I typed back, "Take your time. I'm planning something special for when you get home." That wasn't a lie. I was planning something very special indeed. I spent the next hour organizing my evidence into neat digital folders, making copies of everything, and creating a timeline of Lisa's affair. Every hotel receipt, every suspicious charge, every deleted photo that was still backed up to our cloud storage. By midnight, I had enough material to destroy her reputation, her career, and her relationship with her precious Michael Torres. But that felt too easy, too quick. Lisa had spent 3 months lying to my face, making me feel like I was going crazy when I questioned her late nights and changed behavior. She deserved something more creative than a simple confrontation. She deserved a performance. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Saturday morning arrived gray and drizzly, matching my mood perfectly. Lisa came home around 10, full of apologies and stories about how drunk her co-workers had gotten at the office party. She even showed me photos on her phone from earlier in the evening, before she'd presumably slipped away to spend the night with Michael. "You should have come," she said, kissing my cheek while she made coffee. "Everyone was asking about you." I smiled and nodded, playing the role of understanding husband while mentally noting how easily the lies rolled off her tongue. She'd gotten good at this, probably better than I wanted to admit. "Maybe next time," I said. I had a good evening anyway, caught up on some reading, organized some files. Lisa didn't ask what kind of files. She was too busy texting someone while she sipped her coffee, probably updating Michael on how smoothly her deception had gone. After she left for her Saturday yoga class, which I now suspected was another cover story, I drove across town to meet my best friend Tom Rodriguez at his auto repair shop. Tom and I had known each other since high school, and he was one of the few people I trusted completely. "You look terrible," Tom said when I walked into his garage. He was elbow deep in the engine of a Honda Civic, but he stopped working when he saw my face. "I need to tell you something," I said, "and I need your help." Tom wiped his hands on a rag and led me to his office, a cluttered space that smelled like motor oil and old coffee. I told him everything. The credit card statements, the emails, the jewelry, Lisa's elaborate Thursday night routine. Tom listened without interrupting, his expression growing darker with each detail. "That's messed up," he said when I finished. "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to make her pay," I said. "But not the way she expects." Tom raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" I pulled out my phone and showed him the photos I'd taken of Lisa's emails. "She thinks I'm predictable, boring, the kind of guy who will either ignore the problem or have a quiet breakdown. She's counting on me being too embarrassed to make a scene. And you're not going to give her what she expects? I'm going to give her exactly what she deserves. Public humiliation, professional consequences, social embarrassment. I'm going to make her affair the most expensive mistake she's ever made." Tom grinned. "I like the sound of that. What do you need from me?" "Information. Michael Torres works at Lisa's firm, but I need to know more about him. Where he lives, what kind of car he drives, whether he's married. Can you help me find out?" "Consider it done. I know a guy who knows a guy. Give me until Monday." I spent the rest of the weekend playing the perfect husband. I took Lisa out for dinner at her favorite restaurant, held her hand during a movie, even suggested we start planning a vacation for the fall. She seemed relieved by my normal behavior, probably thinking she'd successfully covered her tracks. Sunday evening, while Lisa was in the shower, I used her unlocked phone to scroll through her text messages with Michael. They were planning another Thursday rendezvous, this time at a hotel downtown. Michael was married, I discovered, with 2 young children and a wife named Jennifer who worked as a nurse at the local hospital. Perfect. The more complicated Michael's life, the more leverage I had. Monday morning brought the information I'd requested from Tom. Michael Torres, 34, married for 7 years, lived in an expensive neighborhood on the other side of town. He drove a black BMW and had a reputation at the firm for being charming but arrogant. Most importantly, his wife Jennifer had no idea about his Thursday night activities. "There's more," Tom said when he called with the update. "I talked to my cousin Maria, who works in accounting at a company that does business with Hartwell and Associates. Apparently, Michael's got a reputation for sleeping with junior staff members. Your wife isn't his first affair." That information hit me like a punch to the stomach. Lisa wasn't special to Michael, She was just another conquest, another married woman he could manipulate and discard when he got bored. The cold calculation in my chest turned into something hotter, more focused. Michael Torres was about to learn that some husbands don't go quietly. I started my campaign that Tuesday, beginning with a simple phone call to Hartwell and Associates' main number. "I'd like to speak with Michael Torres," I said when the receptionist answered. "May I ask who's calling?" "This is David Chen. I'm Lisa Chen's husband. I wanted to thank Michael for being such a good friend to my wife during her difficult time." There was a pause. Her difficult time? Oh, maybe she hasn't mentioned it at work. Lisa's been seeing a counselor about our marriage problems. Michael's been very supportive, meeting with her regularly to help her work through some issues. I just wanted him to know how much I appreciate his friendship. I could practically hear the receptionist's brain processing this information. Office gossip traveled fast in small firms, and by lunchtime, everyone at Hartwell and Associates would be speculating about Lisa's marriage problems and her relationship with Michael. The beauty of this approach was its subtlety. I hadn't said anything untrue. Lisa was meeting regularly with Michael, and it was certainly about our marriage, just not in the way I'd implied. But the seed of doubt was planted. Wednesday evening, Lisa came home agitated. "People at work are acting weird," she said, pacing around our kitchen, asking me personal questions, giving me strange looks. "Did you call my office yesterday?" I looked up from the construction plans I was reviewing at our dining table. "I called to thank Michael for being such a good friend to you. Was that wrong?" Lisa's face went pale. "What did you say exactly?" "Just that I appreciated him supporting you through our rough patch. Why? Is there a problem?" "We're not having a rough patch," Lisa said quickly. "Everything's fine between us." "I know that," I said, smiling. "But you've seemed stressed lately, working so many late nights. I thought maybe you'd been talking to your colleagues about it. Michael seemed like the obvious person, since you mention him so often." Lisa stared at me for a long moment, trying to figure out if I was being genuine or setting a trap. I kept my expression neutral, the same face I used during construction meetings when contractors tried to overcharge for materials. "I don't mention Michael that often," she said finally. "Don't you? My mistake." I went back to my plans, dismissing her concern with the kind of casual indifference that I knew would drive her crazy. Thursday arrived with perfect timing. Lisa left work early, telling me she had a yoga class, followed by drinks with her sister Amy. I knew she was actually meeting Michael at the downtown Marriott, room 412, based on the confirmation email I'd found in her backup folder. At 7 p.m., I called the hotel. "I'd like to leave a message for Michael Torres in room 412, I told the front desk clerk. "Certainly, sir. What's the message?" "Please tell him that David Chen called to confirm our meeting tomorrow morning. He'll know what it's about." There was no meeting, of course, but Michael would spend the night wondering how Lisa's husband had tracked him to that specific hotel room and what kind of confrontation might be waiting for him. I followed up with a text message to Lisa at 9 p.m. "Hope you're having fun with Amy. Tell her I said hello." Lisa called me immediately. "I'm still at yoga," she said, and I could hear the panic in her voice. "Amy's not here." "Oh, I thought you said you were getting drinks with her after class. My mistake." "Right, we are, later, after yoga." "Well, have fun. Don't stay out too late." I hung up and smiled. Lisa was rattled, Michael was paranoid, and I was just getting started. Friday morning brought the first real crack in Lisa's composure. She came downstairs for breakfast, looking like she hadn't slept. Dark circles under her eyes, and her hands shaking slightly as she poured coffee. "Everything okay?" I asked, not looking up from my newspaper. "Fine," she said quickly. "Just tired." "Maybe you should cut back on the evening activities. All those yoga classes and girls' nights seem to be wearing you out." Lisa froze with her coffee mug halfway to her lips. "What do you mean by that?" "Nothing specific. Just that you've been going out a lot lately. I'm starting to feel like I never see you anymore." It was a perfectly reasonable thing for a husband to say, but Lisa reacted like I'd accused her of something. Her face flushed, and she started talking too fast, explaining how important it was for her to maintain friendships and stay in shape, how I should be supportive of her independence. Of course I'm supportive, I said calmly. I just miss spending time with my wife. That afternoon, while Lisa was at work, I implemented the next phase of my plan. I drove to Michael's neighborhood and found his house, a large colonial with a perfectly manicured lawn and a BMW in the driveway. His wife Jennifer was outside, loading groceries into her car, while two young children played in the front yard. I parked across the street and called Michael's office number. Michael Torres speaking. Michael, this is David Chen, Lisa's husband. Silence. I think we should talk, I continued. Face to face, tonight. I don't know what you think you know, Michael said, his voice tight with tension. I know about the Marriott. Room 412, I know about the jewelry, I know about the Thursday meetings. Should I continue? More silence. Meet me at Murphy's Pub on Congress Street at 8 p.m., I said. Come alone. We'll have a civilized conversation about my wife. I hung up before he could respond. Murphy's was a dive bar in the old part of downtown, the kind of place where construction workers and dock workers went to drink cheap beer after their shifts. It was loud, dimly lit, and completely wrong for someone like Michael Torres, who probably spent his evenings at wine bars and trendy restaurants. I arrived early and claimed a table in the back corner, where I could see the entrance but stay partially hidden in shadows. Michael showed up exactly at 8, looking completely out of place in his expensive suit and designer shoes. He spotted me and walked over, his jaw set in a defiant expression that didn't quite hide his nervousness. What do you want? He said, sliding into the seat across from me. I want to understand what kind of man seduces another man's wife, I said, keeping my voice conversational. Help me figure that out. Lisa's not happy in her marriage, Michael said. She told me you two have been having problems for months. Really? What kind of problems? Michael shifted uncomfortably. Look, I didn't plan for this to happen. It just did. These things happen between adults. These things, I repeated. You mean adultery, lying, betrayal, those things. It's not that simple. Actually, it is that simple. I leaned forward. You're sleeping with my wife. She's lying to me about it. You're both betraying your spouses and families. It's the simplest thing in the world. Michael tried to look defiant, but sweat was beading on his forehead. What do you want from me? I want you to understand the situation you've created, I said. You see, I'm not the kind of husband who's going to quietly accept being cheated on. I'm not going to have a breakdown or beg my wife to come back to me. I'm going to make this affair the most expensive mistake both of you have ever made. Are you threatening me? I'm explaining consequences. Your wife Jennifer works at Maine Medical Center, doesn't she? Emergency room nurse. How do you think she'll react when she finds out about your Thursday night activities? Michael's face went white. You wouldn't. Your boss at Hartwell & Associates is Margaret Hartwell, a woman known for her strong views on professional ethics. How do you think she'll feel about discovering that one of her senior staff members is having an affair with a married colleague? You can't prove anything. I pulled out my phone and showed him a photo of the email where he'd sent Lisa explicit details about their hotel encounter. I can prove everything. Emails, credit card receipts, hotel records, jewelry purchases. I've been documenting this affair for weeks. Michael stared at the phone screen, his confidence crumbling. What do you want? I want you to experience consequences. Real, lasting, public consequences. The same kind of humiliation and betrayal you've been putting me through. I stood up and dropped a 20 on the table. Enjoy the rest of your evening, Michael. And enjoy your weekend, because Monday is going to be very interesting for you. I walked out of the bar, leaving Michael sitting alone with his fear and his expensive whiskey. Saturday morning, Lisa was a nervous wreck. She kept checking her phone, pacing around the house, starting conversations, and then trailing off mid-sentence. I maintained my normal weekend routine, reading the paper, doing yard work, watching college football. "Did you go somewhere last night?" Lisa asked while I was raking leaves in our backyard. "Just grabbed a beer with Tom." "Why?" "No reason. You seemed different when you came home." "Different how?" Lisa struggled to find words. "I don't know. More confident, maybe." I smiled. "Maybe I'm just feeling good about things. Work's going well, the house is in good shape, my wife is beautiful and successful. What's not to feel confident about?" The compliment should have made Lisa happy, but instead she looked more nervous than ever. She was starting to realize that something had changed in me, but she couldn't figure out what or why. Sunday evening, I made my final preparation for the week ahead. I created a detailed dossier on Michael Torres, complete with photos, personal information, and documented evidence of his affair with my wife. Then I made copies and prepared to distribute them to the people who mattered most in his world. Lisa spent Sunday night tossing and turning beside me, probably wondering what Michael had told her about our conversation. She didn't know that Michael was too scared to admit he'd met with me, too worried about escalating the situation. Monday morning, I kissed my wife goodbye and told her to have a wonderful day at work. "It's going to be very memorable," I said. Lisa gave me a strange look, but she was already running late for a morning meeting. At 9 a.m., I called Margaret Hartwell's office and asked to schedule a private meeting to discuss a personnel matter involving my wife. Her assistant, probably thinking it was about a promotion or award, scheduled me for that afternoon. At 10 a.m., I sent Jennifer Torres a carefully worded email explaining that I had information about her husband that she deserved to know and asking if we could meet for coffee. At 11 a.m., I called the Portland Press-Herald's lifestyle reporter, who I knew was always looking for interesting local stories about marriage, relationships, and modern life challenges. By noon, I had set in motion a series of events that would destroy Michael Torres's comfortable life and expose Lisa's affair to everyone who mattered in her professional and social circles. The beautiful thing about consequences is that once you set them in motion, they develop their own momentum. I didn't need to do anything dramatic or illegal. I just needed to make sure the right people had the right information at the right time. Lisa called me during her lunch break, her voice tight with anxiety. "People are acting weird at work again," she said. "Margaret wants to see me this afternoon, and I don't know why." "I'm sure it's nothing to worry about," I said. "Maybe she has a new project for you." "Maybe." Lisa didn't sound convinced. "David, is everything okay between us? You've been acting strange lately." "Strange how?" "I don't know. Like you're planning something." I was quiet for a moment, letting the silence build tension. "Lisa," I said finally, "if you had something important to tell me, something that might change our relationship, when would be the right time to do it?" "What do you mean?" "I mean, hypothetically, if you were keeping a secret that affected both of us, would you want to tell me before other people found out about it?" Lisa's breathing became audible over the phone. "David, what are you talking about?" "Nothing specific, just wondering about honesty in marriage, communication, trust, those kinds of things." "I have to go," Lisa said abruptly. "My meeting's starting." She hung up, leaving me smiling in my office. The pressure was building exactly as I'd planned, and Lisa was beginning to understand that her carefully constructed double life was about to collapse. The only question now was whether she would confess before I exposed everything, or whether she would keep lying until the very end. Either way, the consequences were already in motion. Monday afternoon arrived with the weight of inevitability. At 2 p.m., I sat in Margaret Hartwell's office, a pristine space with architectural awards lining the walls and a view of Portland's downtown district. Margaret was a woman in her 60s, silver-haired and sharp-eyed, known throughout the city for her integrity and no-nonsense approach to business. "Mr. Chen," she said, gesturing for me to sit across from her desk. Your message mentioned a personnel matter involving your wife. I hope Lisa isn't having any problems. That depends on how you define problems, I said, opening the folder I'd brought with me. I have some information I believe you should be aware of regarding Lisa's relationship with Michael Torres. Margaret's expression remained neutral, but I caught a flicker of concern in her eyes. What kind of relationship? I placed the first document on her desk, a printed copy of the email where Michael had sent Lisa explicit details about their hotel encounter. Margaret read it carefully, her face growing more serious with each line. This is quite serious, she said when she finished reading. Do you have additional evidence? I spent the next 20 minutes walking Margaret through the complete documentation of Lisa and Michael's affair. Hotel receipts, restaurant charges, jewelry purchases, intimate text messages, and a timeline showing how their relationship had evolved from professional to personal to romantic. Margaret examined each piece of evidence with the methodical attention she probably applied to architectural blueprints. When I finished my presentation, she sat back in her chair and was quiet for a long moment. Mr. Chen, she said finally, I appreciate you bringing this to my attention. Workplace relationships between married employees create significant liability issues for the firm, especially when they involve deception and misuse of company resources. Company resources? Margaret pointed to several hotel charges on the credit card statements. These expenses were submitted for reimbursement as client entertainment. If Michael was using company funds to pay for hotel rooms where he conducted an extramarital affair, that constitutes fraud. I hadn't considered that angle, but it made perfect sense. Michael had been billing his affair to the company, adding financial misconduct to his personal betrayal. What happens now? I asked. I'll need to conduct a formal investigation. Both Lisa and Michael will be suspended pending the outcome. Depending on what we discover, termination is likely. I thanked Margaret and left her office, feeling a grim satisfaction. Lisa's career at Hartwell & Associates was effectively over, and Michael's was about to become much more complicated. At 4 p.m., I met Jennifer Torres at a coffee shop near the hospital where she worked. Jennifer was a small woman with tired eyes and the efficient manner of someone accustomed to handling emergencies. She looked exhausted, probably from working night shifts and managing 2 young children. Thank you for agreeing to meet with me, I said as we sat down with our coffees. Your email was concerning, Jennifer said. You mentioned information about Michael? I handed her a manila envelope. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, but your husband has been having an affair with my wife for the past 3 months. Jennifer stared at the envelope without opening it. Are you certain? Completely certain. The evidence is all in there. Hotel receipts, text messages, emails, photographs. I documented everything. Jennifer opened the envelope with shaking hands and began reading. I watched her face change as she processed the reality of her husband's betrayal. Shock gave way to hurt, then to anger, then to something harder and more determined. How long have you known? She asked. I suspected for weeks, but I only confirmed it recently. I wanted to have solid proof before I said anything to you. Why are you telling me now? Because you deserve to know the truth, and because I believe people should face consequences for their actions. Jennifer closed the envelope and looked at me with new respect. What are you going to do about your wife? I'm going to make sure she understands the cost of betrayal, I said. What are you going to do about Michael? I'm going to make sure he understands the cost of losing his family. We parted ways with a mutual understanding. Jennifer would confront Michael with the evidence, and I would handle Lisa. Both of our spouses were about to discover that their affair had consequences neither of them had anticipated. I drove home through the early evening traffic, knowing that Lisa was probably still at the office, dealing with Margaret's investigation. My phone had been buzzing with calls and text messages from her all afternoon, but I hadn't answered any of them. Let her wonder. Let her panic. Let her experience the same uncertainty and fear I'd been living with for months. At 6 p.m., Lisa's car pulled into our driveway. She sat behind the wheel for several minutes before getting out, probably trying to compose herself for whatever conversation was about to happen. She walked into our house looking like she'd aged 5 years in one day. Her hair was disheveled, her makeup smeared, and her hands were shaking. "We need to talk," she said. "I agree," I replied, not getting up from my chair in the living room. "How was your meeting with Margaret?" Lisa's face crumpled. "You know, I know everything. The question is whether you're finally ready to tell me the truth." Lisa sank into the chair across from me, tears streaming down her face. "David, I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen." "But it did happen. For 3 months it happened. Every Thursday night it happened. Every lie you told me, every time you looked me in the eye and pretended to be a faithful wife, it happened." "I know I hurt you," Lisa said through her tears. "I know I messed up everything. But we can fix this. We can go to counseling. We can work through it." "Can we? Because I'm not sure you understand what you've destroyed." I pulled out my phone and showed her the photo I'd taken of her jewelry box, with Michael's bracelet clearly visible. "You brought another man's gifts into our bedroom. You lied to my face every single day. You made me doubt my own instincts when I asked you about working late." "I was confused," Lisa said desperately. "Michael made me feel special, appreciated. Things between us had gotten routine, and he was exciting and new. So you decided to have an affair instead of talking to me about our problems." "I didn't plan it. It just happened." "Nothing just happens, Lisa. You made choices. Every Thursday, you chose to betray our marriage. Every lie, every cover story, every time you deleted a text message or hid a receipt. You chose deception over honesty." Lisa was sobbing now, but I felt no sympathy for her. She'd made her choices, and now she had to live with the consequences. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now you experience the cost of those choices. Margaret suspended you today, didn't she?" Lisa nodded miserably. "Michael's wife knows about the affair. His children will probably find out. His career at Hartwell is over, and yours probably is too. How could you do this to me?" The question hit me like a slap. How could I do this to you? Lisa, I didn't do anything to you. I simply made sure that the people affected by your choices had the information they deserved. You destroyed my career. You ruined my life. I documented your affair and shared that information with the relevant parties. You destroyed your own career when you decided to sleep with a married colleague and lie about it for 3 months. Lisa stared at me with a mixture of hurt and hatred. I don't even know who you are anymore. I'm the same person I've always been. The difference is that now I'm not willing to be lied to and betrayed in my own home. My phone rang. It was Tom. "David, you need to see the news," he said. "Turn on Channel 8. I grabbed the remote and switched to the local news station. The evening anchor was introducing a story about workplace affairs and their impact on families and businesses. The reporter had interviewed Margaret Hartwell about professional ethics, Jennifer Torres about the effects of infidelity on families, and several other people about the broader social implications. Lisa watched in horror as her private affair became a public news story. The reporter didn't mention names, but anyone who knew us would recognize the details. "You called the media?" Lisa whispered. I shared a story about modern marriage challenges with a reporter who was interested in the topic. She decided it was newsworthy. Lisa stood up abruptly. "I can't stay here. I can't look at you right now." "Where will you go?" "I don't know. A hotel, maybe. My sister's house." "With what money?" "Your credit cards are maxed out from your affair expenses, and your job is gone." Lisa stared at me, finally beginning to understand the full scope of her situation. She'd lost her career, her reputation, her marriage, and her financial security, all for a 3-month affair with a man who was probably having the same conversation with his own wife right now. I'll figure something out, she said, grabbing her purse and heading for the door. Lisa, I called after her. She turned back, hope flickering in her eyes. Next time you decide to have an affair, I said, choose someone who's worth losing everything for. Lisa left without another word, and I was alone in our house for the first time in 8 years. I should have felt sad or angry or lonely, but instead I felt something I hadn't experienced in months. Peace. The consequences were in motion now, and justice was being served. Lisa and Michael had thought they could lie and cheat without paying a price, but they'd underestimated the cost of betrayal. Sometimes the best revenge is simply making sure people face the natural consequences of their actions. I hadn't done anything illegal or unethical. I'd simply refused to be a silent victim and had made sure the truth came to light. Lisa was right about one thing. She didn't know who I was anymore. But that wasn't because I'd changed. It was because she'd never really known me at all. If she had, she would have known that I don't accept defeat quietly, and I don't let people walk away from the damage they cause. She was about to learn both of those lessons the hard way. 3 weeks passed before I saw Lisa again. She'd been staying with her sister Amy across town, working part-time at a coffee shop while she looked for a new job in architecture. The news story had made her effectively unemployable at any reputable firm in Maine, so she was considering moving to another state to start over. Michael Torres had fared even worse. Jennifer had filed for divorce and taken the children to stay with her parents in New Hampshire. Margaret Hartwell had terminated him for financial misconduct after discovering he'd billed over $3,000 in affair-related expenses to the company. He was facing possible criminal charges for fraud and had been forced to move into a studio apartment downtown. I learned all of this from Tom, who had an impressive network of contacts throughout the city. The story of the affair had become local gossip, a cautionary tale about the dangers of workplace romance and marital infidelity. On a Thursday evening, exactly 1 month after Lisa's last secret meeting with Michael, she called me. "Can we talk?" she asked. "In person?" "About what?" "About us. About what happens next." I agreed to meet her at a restaurant downtown, neutral territory where we could have a civilized conversation. Lisa looked different when I arrived. Thinner, older, worn down by the consequences of her choices. She was wearing clothes I didn't recognize, probably borrowed from her sister. "Thank you for coming," she said, as I sat down across from her. "What did you want to discuss?" "I want to apologize. Really apologize. Not just say I'm sorry because I got caught." I waited for her to continue. "I've had time to think about what I did," Lisa said. "About the lies and the betrayal and the way I treated our marriage. I was selfish and stupid and cruel." "Yes, you were. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I know I destroyed everything good between us. But I want you to know that I understand what I lost." "Do you?" Lisa nodded, tears starting to form in her eyes. "I lost the best man I've ever known. I lost my partner, my best friend, my future. I threw away 8 years of marriage for a 3-month affair with someone who didn't even care about me." "Michael didn't care about you?" "He was using me. When everything came out, when his wife left him and he lost his job, he blamed me for seducing him. He said I was the one who pursued him, that I was desperate and pathetic." I wasn't surprised. Michael had struck me as the type of man who would never take responsibility for his actions. "I'm sorry that happened to you," I said, and I meant it. Despite everything Lisa had done, I didn't enjoy seeing her hurt. "Are you? Even after everything I put you through?" "I never wanted you to be hurt, Lisa. I wanted you to face consequences for your actions, but I never wanted you to suffer unnecessarily." Lisa reached across the table and touched my hand. "Is there any chance we could try again? I know it would take time and counseling, and I'd have to earn back your trust. But is there any possibility of forgiveness?" I looked at my wife, this woman I'd loved for 10 years, and felt a deep sadness for what we'd lost. Lisa, do you know what the worst part of your affair was? The lying. The lying was terrible, but the worst part was that you made me doubt myself. When I asked you about working late, you made me feel like I was being paranoid and controlling. When I questioned your new clothes and jewelry, you made me feel like I was being suspicious and untrusting. You gaslighted me for 3 months, making me think I was going crazy. Lisa's face crumpled. I know. I'm so sorry. You didn't just betray our marriage. You made me question my own judgment, my own instincts, my own sanity. That's not something I can forgive. Please, David, I'll do anything to make this right. I pulled my hand away from hers. You can't make it right, Lisa. Some things, once broken, can't be fixed. Trust is one of those things. So that's it? 8 years of marriage and you're just going to throw it away? I'm not throwing anything away. You threw it away 3 months ago when you decided to have an affair. I'm just refusing to pretend it didn't happen. Lisa sat back in her chair, finally understanding that there would be no reconciliation, no second chance, no fairy tale ending where love conquered all. What happens now? She asked. Now we get divorced. You start your new life somewhere else, and I start mine here. And you'll be happy? Knowing you destroyed my career and my reputation? I'll be happy knowing I refuse to be a victim. I'll be happy knowing that actions have consequences, even when those actions are committed by people we love. Lisa stared at me for a long moment. You're not the man I married. You're right. The man you married would have suffered in silence, would have blamed himself for your affair, would have begged you to come back. That man was weak. And this man? This man doesn't accept betrayal. This man believes in justice. This man understands that sometimes the people we love are capable of terrible things, and when that happens, we have to choose between enabling them and holding them accountable. I stood up from the table. I chose accountability. Lisa watched me leave, probably understanding for the first time that her affair had cost her more than just her marriage. It had cost her any chance of manipulating or controlling me ever again. 6 months later, our divorce was finalized. Lisa moved to Seattle, where she found work at a small firm designing residential projects. Michael Torres left Maine as well, relocating to Florida where he took a job selling insurance. Jennifer Torres kept the house and the children and eventually started dating a doctor from her hospital. I stayed in Portland, got a promotion at work, and started dating again. Not seriously, not yet, but I was open to the possibility of finding love again with someone who understood the value of honesty and commitment. Tom asked me once if I regretted how I'd handled Lisa's affair, if I thought I'd been too harsh or vindictive. I gave her exactly what she gave me, I told him. She gave me lies, so I gave her truth. She gave me betrayal, so I gave her consequences. She gave me humiliation, so I gave her accountability. And you're okay with how it turned out? I thought about that question for a long time. Was I okay with the destruction of my marriage, the end of my relationship with someone I'd loved for 10 years, the public exposure of private pain? I'm okay with refusing to be a victim, I said finally. I'm okay with standing up for myself. I'm okay with insisting that people face the consequences of their choices. Even when those people are the ones you love most? Especially then, because if you really love someone, you don't enable their worst behavior. You hold them accountable, even when it's painful, even when it costs you everything. Lisa had taught me an important lesson about marriage, though not the one she'd intended. She'd taught me that love without respect is worthless, that commitment without honesty is meaningless, and that some betrayals are so fundamental they can't be forgiven or forgotten. But she'd also taught me something about myself. She'd taught me that I was stronger than I'd realized, more resourceful than I'd known, and more willing to fight for my dignity than I'd ever imagined. The affair had ended our marriage, but it had also revealed who I really was when pushed to my limits. I was someone who refused to accept betrayal quietly, someone who believed in consequences, someone who would choose painful truth over comfortable lies every single time. That was a man I could respect A man I could live with. A man who deserved better than what Lisa had given him. And someday, when I was ready, it would be a man worthy of real love from someone who understood the value of loyalty and honesty. Lisa had thought she could lie and cheat without paying a price. She'd learned otherwise, and in teaching her that lesson, I'd learned something valuable about myself. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. Sometimes it's simply refusing to let someone else's bad choices define your worth or determine your future. I'd chosen my future, and it didn't include people who thought betrayal was acceptable or consequences were optional. That was a choice I'd never regret.